Willie D Live.
It's Willie D, y'all, back with another episode of information and instructions to help you navigate through this wild, crazy, beautiful world. In the studio, the Love King, Raheem. He got a last name, too. DeVaughn. What's up, King?
Hey, what's up, Willie?
I just had to break it down with the Love King, Raheem. Just make that part rhyme.
Yeah.
And then pick back up.
That's what great MCs do.
Hey, say, man. Finally good to see you. I mean, we talk a lot, but we never talked in this type of capacity.
It's a pleasure to be here. I know we've been trying to get it done, and I'm glad that that I'm here. And man, congratulations on what you're doing too. It's blowing up every time the algorithm be jumping. I just keep seeing Willie in the algorithms.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I'm seeing you in the algorithms of love, man. You keep it going, man. Man, how do you put out so much work, man? Like you stay busy. I know you love it, but how do you? Like, where does this energy come from?
It's my. I've come to the conclusion that it's my therapy. Or it's my and at times my pacifier.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like but and when you enjoy doing something, and I think we have bad habits that we can acquire, and that can be addictions, and then we have great things that can be addictions. You know what I mean? Going to the gym, going to the doing something that you love, and working. So. I like to think that I've found a way to do it in a manner where I'm working smarter and it, not harder. I know I've been coined as probably one of the hardest working, in my arena, in my generation. But I feel like, when you're doing something that you enjoy and love, that is not necessarily work, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It absolutely makes sense. Man, let's get right to your style, man, because, boy, you got that style, man. Like, that's a big part of your identity as an artist, that style, It's just as important to me, I think. Well, not just important. It's important.
Yeah.
But I'm about to say, it's just as important as that music, man, as those lyrics. But it's important. It's a big part of your identity.
Yeah, I agree. And to be transparent, there was a period of my career where, coming into the game, I think the music always kind of spoke for itself. I was just really about the music. Like, I didn't really care about the style and the grace of it or, like, what I necessarily wore. You know what I mean? Back then, I had to grow into, I had to go into manhood as an artist and understanding, like, the full connection, the 360 of what it is to be an artist and what truly defines an artist in its entirety, not just what it sounds like, but what it looks like and the aesthetics of it and what it feels like, Now I understand that, good, bad, or indifferent, people remember how you make them feel.
Yeah.
And that's from the moment you part your lips to when you walk in the room to, how you address everybody in the room or greet everybody in the room. All of these things matter, and a lot of that has taken place too because of, just the level of competitiveness that I have, but also to constantly find ways to deconstruct and reconstruct myself as an artist on the live stage. You know what I mean? Because that may be the thing that matters the most in our world as artists. Mm-hmm. Like, it's one thing to create it. It's another thing to, go shoot a video or content for it. And then there's another thing to be able to have like that human connection night after night, or create that feeling, that feeling that you create one time that people want to keep coming back to enjoy the experience over and over and over and over again,
Yeah. It's good that you respect that, man, because there are some artists, man, I've seen artists just get on the stage, man. It's like they don't even give a damn. Like, I got paid, I'm here, y'all better be happy that I'm here.
Yeah.
I ain't got nothing else for y'all. If I don't want to do nothing, I feel like just standing on this stage and making a phone call, talking to somebody, or kicking it over here while while the music is playing, and if I want to lip sync, I can do that. You better be happy I'm here.
Yeah.
Like, it's a trip how much live performances has declined over the years. And then there's some things that are beyond an artist's control. For example, how you have a lot of these shows, these R&B shows, that have DJs now and not live bands. Like, what's going on with that?
And yeah, and I do both.
Yeah.
It's definitely a different energy that's required when you're out there with the DJ. You know what I mean? I definitely, it's a different mindset for me. I enjoy doing both. But I feel that there's definitely something different about having a live band. Having the background singers, or having stripping it down and doing it acoustically with just the guitar player, the bass player, or doing a set with just a pianist and an upright bass, or you know what I mean. So I think it's something about the live music that creates the vibe for intimacy and the improvisational moments that happen, and they can and if you align with the DJ and my thing, it all kind of goes back to what you're rehearsing though too. So if you're rehearsing and you take, so I pride myself in making sure that, I'm rehearsing with the band constantly. I'm rehearsing with the DJ, or we're having conversations where, it becomes second nature. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like they can almost know what you're going to do before you're going to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think, also it's a combination of the sound and the lights and just, I'm still ascending. You know what I mean? I'm still on the incline. I feel like, musically, as a recording artist, as a songwriter, as a vocalist, as a human being, and definitely as a live performer, in my artistry, like I'm still on the incline. Like I'm just scratching the surface of what I can do, what's to come, and how I want it to look and feel, and then also working within the means of what you have at maximum capacity, too, Like you came to the show last night.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Because when you have 2, 3, 4 acts on the show, unfortunately, it was a situation where I didn't get a sound check last night.
And you couldn't tell.
But you could, you know what I mean?
Tell.
But because of the reps that we put in, shout out to my band and the musicians and the reps I put in with the band and then also my sound man, who's also my engineer and one of my producers, and he mix and masters the record, so he knows how it needs to feel in the house, from the creation of when we create it, in the studio. So it's it's times that the proper preparation that you put into it, that you're prepared for moments when you have things that, time constraints, things that you're just up against and you still got to deliver. At the end of the day, the people have paid their hard-earned money. They're coming out there for a sense of escapism. They're coming out to be entertained, and the climate of where the world is and the economy and all these things, it is don't ever get it twisted. It's a luxury for people to come out, and patronize and come out and support, buy a ticket. I never take that for granted. It's humbling to be able to you see the lights come on and you're like, oh, it's 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 people in here, that are in here, sold out the building, for an exchange of energy. And, or to hear that song that created a moment, where they walked down the aisle, had their first dance, their first kiss, they planted that seed. Fans went up with, hey, I got my this is my son. This is little Raheem. Baby, little Raheem, what do you mean?
How did you react when the first time you heard somebody say that they'd named their child after you, knowing that it was probably because they were conceived?
Yeah, I mean, man, it's that's a huge responsibility. You know what I mean? It's it's modern day. It's giving modern day Cupid vibes.
Yeah,
That's
crazy, man. Somebody's being conceived listening to your music, you inspired somebody enough to where they got it in enough
And it's
to where they produced a child and named the child after you.
and you know, it kind of lets me know that, you know, everybody serves a purpose, you know what I mean? And it's like I look at it as keeping the legacy or the lineage of things going. Like, you know, it's the ecosystem. Like, you know, I'm definitely here because of, you know, Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm definitely here because of, like, you know, Marvin Gaye. You know, so it's just it's in my DNA. You know, it's in all of our DNAs. You know, it's the rich legacy of the culture of soul and R&B music, and its connection to our people. You know, even if you want to talk about jazz and the Harlem Renaissance. You know, in that period of time, you know, transitioning, you know, out of slavery here in the U.S. and what the blues, the jazz, the soul, the R&B, you know, film as well. You know, the writers, Langston Hughes, and just it's all intertwined, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's talk about sex. Okay. So the music, you know, the music is a lot of innuendos in there. It's a lot of talk about sex, right?
Yeah.
How much pressure is there for you to perform well?
You know what?
Not on stage, but off stage when you're with a woman and it's going down. How much pressure is it on you to live up to that reputation that you have in your music of being the love king?
I mean, for me, and I say this humbly, like, it's not a lot of pressure. Like, I am who I am. Like, I'm who I am. I'm who I am. Like, I've been who I am. I'm who I am from the womb to the tomb. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, I'm gonna stand firm. You know, 10 toes down. Right?
Yeah.
I think it's more pressure of outside of the bedroom. You know what I mean? Or just, you know, the level of expectation of certain things. But, you know, the Love King moniker is not just about, it's just not me, it's not just about the records that speak to intimacy. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, when we came up with that moniker back in, you know, I'm constantly finding ways to reinvent myself. I had just started a foundation, and the Love Life Foundation, and, you know, love for community, love for people, you know, my history and the catalog of, you know, having socially conscious records, you know, with the success of the Love and War Masterpiece album, which was like my third album, which was the entire album was nominated for R&B Album of the Year. I think I lost to Prince that year. I mean, you can't.
That was 2008.
Yeah, 2000. That dropped in 2010. That album. Yeah. So we're talking like 2010. 11, 12, right. You know, that vibe. Yeah. So, I mean, so with the moniker of that, it was kind of just like, it just kind of came to me one day, like the Love King, you know. I always kind of tied love into every title of every album, and it just felt right, you know. I grew into that space, you know.
Yeah. How important is it for you to have a message in the music? I personally, you know, I'm a fan of lyrics. I'm a fan of an artist who can put some substance. You know, it's cool to have party records or whatever.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, the artists who are never forgotten are those, and the ones who get the most respect are the ones who have a message. Mm-hmm. So how important is it to have that message in your music?
Oh, man, it's law for me, you know? It's just a universal law of, like, it's just law, you know? It's like using, you know, for me, it's using your is using your gift or your talent at the highest level of mastery. You know what I mean? To be able to, and to also be able to do it in a way where it's digestible. You know what I mean? Like where it doesn't come off, offensive or boring, or where it doesn't have any appeal. You're still drawn to it. It has the right melody lines attached to it, or the top line, or the right ending and the bridge, and there's all of these things, But it gives me an opportunity to let people know that I'm aware, and that we're aware, and that it gives us it's a way for us to communicate with community, speak out on things that we want to see change, or that we disagree with, or that we do agree with, what they say, it's a war going on outside no man is safe from, So and it restores the balance. I think me being able to be an artist who that can do a record. I got a record called Final Call. I don't know if you ever heard the record, but it's I was one of the only artists probably to be able to shoot. Shout out to the Minister Farrakhan, being allowed to be able to shoot a video in a mosque at that time. But beautiful song. I went to a Savior's Day, and was blown away and was inspired, and I went and created this record. And then the next Savior's Day, that I attended, we released the record. They played it. They played the video at Savior's Day, and I forget what year that was, but it had to be between, let's see, we talking maybe like 2013, 2014 or so. But yeah, it's it's about balance. You know what I mean? People want to be entertained. People want records they can make love to. People want records they can also rally for the war cry. So yeah, it's and it's what I grew up on. It's what I grew up on and what I was taught. Through listening to records. Listening to Bob Marley. Marvin Gaye, even Prince, as intense and sexual and gifted and talented as he was. He had records that spoke to, socially conscious, sign of the times. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
1999.
Yeah, man.
Pop life.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Yeah, so and I have my phases, I have my periods, like I'll be in my mode, I'll be in zone, Love King mode, and then, we'll pop out. I got, we definitely, it's some treats on the way. It's for 2024. It's unprecedented times too that we living in, but I also know too, I'm led by spirit, so I know that people want a sense of escapism too. So sometimes you don't want to be too heavy. You know what I mean? Yeah. You gotta that's the purpose of the balance of it.
Is Chrisette and Michele your cousin?
We trying to figure this. So here's the story. This is something that our parents conjured up backstage. So, but we cousins though. We all cousins, really.
But there's no blood. Well, I guess it is blood. Yeah, it's somewhere down the line.
But somewhere. But apparently, on a serious note, somewhere down the line, and that's family, man. Regardless at this point.
How did you feel about Chrisette going to Trump's inauguration, and she seeming to be a little tone deaf about what was going on, in society at the time, and while at the same time, you were making conscious music, and you appeared to be on top of what was happening.
Yeah.
I mean, did you have any angst toward her because of that?
Nah, I mean, I didn't. You know why? Because at the end of the day, I felt bad for her for what she endured after it. That's my friend. That's my family.
Well, we warned her.
No doubt. I get it.
We won.
Yeah, I get it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get it, you know?
Yeah.
I get it, you know? But at the end of the day, like, you know, she got her path, she got her path to her lane to lead, and just like I do or you do. And for me, you know, it was just like, you know, I made it my business to reach out and check on her.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Because we got a personal relationship, you know what I mean? We've never talked about it, like, you know what I mean? But, you know, I think even in your lowest points, like publicly, you know, those moments build character for you to, like, you know, if anything else, if anything, maybe the lesson was, and I don't know, but you look, you know, looking at it from the outside, if anything, it made her more knowledgeable of certain things.
Mm.
You know what I mean? You know, so if that's what it took, then so be it. You know what I mean? For you to be knowledgeable of whatever you need to be knowledgeable of, or if it made you a better person, you know what I mean? Sometimes the things we endure, you know, you don't know what you can don't know what you can endure or deal with until it's throwing, you know, till the curveball is thrown your way. You know what I mean? Or until you in question or scrutiny, like publicly, all eyes on you, you know? So yeah, that's my opinion on it, you know?
Yeah. I thought the lesson was, and I like what you said,
Yeah.
but I thought the lesson was like, don't do for Trump what he wouldn't do for you.
Oh no doubt.
Like that is
Yeah.
the wrong hill to die on.
Yeah.
Like doing something for Trump
Yeah.
is the wrong hill
Yeah.
to die on. Because
Yeah.
Trump is not going to sacrifice 1 ounce of his bread, his popularity
Yeah.
to help anybody.
Yeah.
And to me, it's just certain things like I had an opportunity to get my felony taken off my record. You know, I had lawyers who was cool with him when I was running for office.
Yeah.
They was like, Trump will take it off. You know,
But
he'll take it off.
but what was it?
And I
But
was
there
like,
was
no.
it was a but. There was a but.
It
though.
was a but because
Yeah.
because if I don't fuck with you, I
Yeah,
don't fuck with you.
Yeah.
I don't care
Yeah.
what you doing, what you trying to provide for me.
Yeah.
I don't care. Like I'd rather, man, I die with that on my record and
Yeah.
die with whatever limitations that it bring before I accept anything from dude.
Yeah.
Like I'm not like that, you know. Like if I don't fuck with you, I just don't fuck with you, and I don't fuck with that dude.
Yeah.
And he don't fuck with me, and I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
So that's the way I looked at it. Like
Yeah.
I was like, you know, read the room, man.
Yeah, it's definitely, you know, it's one of them things, you know, and sometimes for us, it's about who's advising us too and who's around you too, you know, who's walking in the room with you too, you know what I mean? So, you know, all of those things are, it's cohesive. It's all intertwined, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like what you said though, you know, sometimes, you know, you learn a lesson. If it makes you better, then, you know, every lesson is a blessing.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Man, let's go back. Let's go way
back.
Let's go all the way back to New Jersey.
Yeah.
You're from New Jersey.
Yeah, I was born in Jersey.
You were born in Jersey, but you was raised in the D.C.
Yeah, in the D.C. Maryland area. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. At what point did you move from Newark?
As an infant, you know, my mother had me, and then she decided to go back to Maryland. Her and my dad separated. You know, they were never like legally married, but you know, and she went back to, you know, the DMV area. I would spend my summers with Dad, and like, you know, there was a period where he lived in East Orange. There was a period where he lived, you know, moved back to Newark, and yeah. So those are the times, man. You know, just growing up. Definitely was in a single parent household. You know, with my mom. My grandmother also played a huge role, you know, in my growing up, and yeah.
Yeah. Now, at what age does Abdul and Imani split? Like, what age are you now when they're raising you?
Oh no, this was from like, my father was never in my household, but always a
Okay.
part of like in my
Okay.
life. You know
Now,
what I mean?
now, what kind of relationship did they have? Were they civil toward each other, or was it contentious?
It was contentious.
Ah.
Yeah. It's like one of them things you find out. I'm still finding out things. My dad recently passed. So he's been so it's been a little over a year. August 10th made a year.
Okay.
That I buried my father. He had his janaza. I was the last one to see.
Janaza?
What basically, his rites of passage. To prepare him.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
prepare him for after he transitioned. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So to lay him to rest, and so I was the last one to see my dad, like, you know what I mean, like physically, like, after he passed, I went it was two brothers from the mosque, came, like complete strangers. We prayed together. We washed the body, washed him down. I washed my father from head to toe.
Yeah.
Wrapped his body. Rubbed him down with the oils. The whole nine.
What was that experience like?
Man, like after doing that, it just it give you a whole new respect for life and death. That's one, but it ain't nobody it's nothing that can shake me or move me on this planet after like enduring that, like and to be able to endure the pain of it, of course, but also to be able to enjoy the joy of it. You know what I mean? In the sense of like a job well done, and just make sure just to see it through all the way to the end. You know what I mean? In this life into the next. Yes.
Was that some type of rite of passage, or is this just something that you wanted to do?
Well, my father was Muslim. You know what I mean? So and I was born Muslim. My name Muslim, and so it was just that's what he wanted. I know that's what he would have wanted. And
who suggested it first?
I just know that's what he wanted. Like we had talked about it. Like, it's kind of like, you know what I mean? So my father been Muslim his entire life, although his government, Ronald DeVaughn, his Muslim name, and he was also an artist too.
Yeah, he played the
cello.
He was a cello player.
Yeah, Abdul Wadud. So, I just, I think it's very, when people transition, it's very important to like respect their wishes. If they, it's the last thing it's how you honor them on the way out.
Yeah.
So whatever he would have wanted, if you would have said, hey, I want 50 doves, and I want to have a parade around Cleveland, Ohio, to start here and to end here, like whatever it would have been that he wanted, like that's what it would have been. You know what I mean? But he was a very meek and humble, cat, and so we did. I made sure that. Myself and the family, we made, it was dope, man. It wasn't no family bickering or just things that you hear about that transpire, when parents transition or the people pass and what have you, And, he was, prior to him passing, he was in the hospital for like 8 weeks. So it was a lot. Like, I plan at some point I'll probably do a book or, kind of really get into it. But it was a lot to like, endure, and because I'm still moving around. I still have to be, we still got to, in the transitions of what we do, people don't understand that we're like human beings. So you still got to be Willie.
Life goes on.
Life goes on. Like I buried my father on a Friday and did a show on Saturday.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Wow.
And I remember literally getting off the plane. I remember probably one of the first things I said, I have a go-go band too. So shout out to the Crane Crusaders. But so we were just kind of ramping up with the go-go band, and it was a huge show, great initiative, breast cancer awareness, the big pink party that they have in D.C. every year. So I just, I didn't want to cancel, it wouldn't have sat right with me. And it gave me something to kind of like do and get, you know, and get through the moment, you know, doing something that I love, you know, helping me transition, you know, missing somebody that I love, you know. And I remember, I think probably one of the first things I got on the mic and just said, I you know, because the go-go, you know how we do in DC, and I would say, listen, before we get started, I'm just gonna let y'all know, not to be a Debbie Downer, but I just buried my father yesterday. So when we coming with this pocket, I expect y'all to act complete fool up in here so we can have a party, because we gonna be, I don't know about y'all, but I'm gonna be celebrating my father's life. And you know, from there it was up. You know?
Yeah, I think that's one of the beautiful things and best things that you can do when there's loss of life is to busy yourself. You know?
Yeah, it is, but it's a danger in it too, because you don't want to burn yourself out. You know what I mean? Like, you know, and that's so you know, I've been very, you know, I'm cognizant of that. But when I'm in work mode, it you know, because of my appreciation for life and time and to understand the concept that from the time we're all born, we're running out of time. Like, I'm going to use that time a lot wiser. Like, you know, or I'm in that, you know, when I'm in that zone of creating, like, you know, you're as good as the last song you put out. You're as great as the last performance that you know. That's just my philosophy, you know what I mean? Like, I'm old school in that sense in terms of the artistry, that I feel like I'm as good as the last thing that I put out, you know, to the world, and I'm as great as the last performance, you know? But there's always, you know, the future doesn't exist, you know? Because next week, we be planning for next week, and man, I'm about to go on tour, you know, 6 months from now, and realizing that, you know, the reality is you ain't guaranteed to be here. You know what I mean? So it makes me value the moments in real time, you know, the loss of my father, and the loss of loved ones, period, you know. It makes me value the concept of time and just enjoying it and living it up and being appreciative for every tick, you know?
Appreciative for every tick. Was your father the first person that, the closest person to you that had died?
Nah, my grandmother. I lost my grandmother back in, 2000, 05, 04, 05? You know, before my first single hit the streets, Guess Who Loves You More? You know, it'll be 20 years, man, 2025 that the Love Experience been out, by the way, but which is crazy to me. But the first loss was my grandmother, and I never really dealt with it or unpacked that, I think, you know? So I think that, like, when my father passed, like, it was so overwhelming that, you know, it led me to do something that I hadn't done before, that I probably should have done a long time ago, which was like therapy. You know, which is probably, you know, which has been life changing, because even the tools that I've acquired in this short period of time from doing therapy, like, it's been helpful. It's been very helpful. It's been useful. It's been therapeutic. You know, in some cases, it lets you know, you ain't crazy. You ain't going out of your mind. You know, you're aware. And more importantly, like, how to deal with trauma, how to deal with the loss of, you know, of loved ones, how to deal with being a public figure and being under a magnifying glass, or, you know, because as artists we give so much, you know. We give a lot. You know, I was watching Badu up there on stage last night, and
Shout out to Erica.
Yeah, shout out to Erica Badu. And I saw her process, like, her wind down. You know what I mean? Like, after, like, when she got off stage, and she gives so much. You know, we give so much. You know, I could just kind of relate to that. You know, at such a high frequency, at such a high level, and you're giving so much.
What was the wind down like?
Nah, she just needed a moment, just to let her body, everything recalibrate.
You don't do that?
Yeah, I do. But I need to. You could take more. You know,
Take more time.
Yeah, take more time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean. Like I haven't done a meet and greet, man, since COVID.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean. And I was the Mr. Meet and Greet guy, like with the merch, and I'm the first one in the building, last one to leave, and I'm gonna be gearing up to do it. For touring in 2024 and whatnot. But yeah, it's just like, that energy. It's okay to be, to protect your magic and protect your energy. You know what I mean? And I've always been that way, but like even knowing now, even like more. As things continue to ascend.
I would assume that you being an R&B artist and a chill dude, you're relaxed. You're one of them type of dudes that everybody like, but of course you have enemies. We all have enemies, but I would assume that people from sometimes will underestimate you and think that it's sweet because you are an R&B artist and because you are a lovable, huggable guy, so to speak, right? How often do you experience stuff like that?
I mean, not too often. I mean, those that know me know me. Like, if you know me, you know me. You know what I mean? So I could be a gentle giant.
You know how to switch gears.
But I can switch. Yeah, I can be a ferocious tourist though too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And,
right.
But I mean, I like to think these days, I'm a good judge of character and energy. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So, I focus on giving what I want.
Nice.
You know what I mean? Like, when you give it, when you give what you want, it's, you can kind of like set the tone. You know what I mean? Like sometimes in setting the tone, you checking the temp. There's a way to set the tone and check the temperature at the same time.
Yeah.
When you walk in a room, you know what I mean, and you can instantly know like if there's any threats, if there's any, you know what I mean, or just the hate. Sometimes we be so focused on thinking about, thinking we got haters and we got ops and this and this is like sometimes that shit just in our head.
we are on ops.
We are biggest. The biggest. Yeah, your biggest op is you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean. So like, it's like the love. Sometimes you can get the love that somebody didn't even know. That vibration they didn't even know they needed or wanted, and it just be like, man, it's that's breaking down barriers and breaking down doors when you're doing that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I done been in some environments and doing community work or, wearing other hats than just Raheem on the stage and Raheem on record. That
Are you still doing the foundation?
Oh, absolutely. We our next event is a Skid Row in L.A. In a week or two, well, a few weeks, yeah, during December, leading up to Christmas or what have you. So, like, yeah, I mean, absolutely, and doing that, I done seen the hardest cat cry. You know what I mean? Because of the work we were doing, at that time. So, and I might have wept right there with him, So, so yeah, at the end of the day, I'll say it again. I never get tired of saying, good, bad, or different people good, bad, and different people remember how you made them feel.
Right.
That's from the thugginess, from the thugginess of the thuggers to, people from all walks of life.
Yeah. What was it like going to High Point?
High Point High School. That was cool. I was your average kid. I left. There was a period where my dad stepped up and like, I had to go. I needed that. Go be with my dad. I was getting in trouble. I was living with my grandmother at the time, and I was getting in a lot of trouble. Just teenage stuff that we do, at that time. And so I went to Jersey to live with my dad. Got in more trouble. Got in a lot of trouble up there. Had to come back. So we talking like 9th grade year. There was a period. There was actually a period where I dropped out of school for a moment, and had to go to summer school. And then from there, I always had a job. So I want to say like that summer, I came home back to live with my mom. This is like early 90s. And so I had a job. Like my first job was Giant Food. So that's equivalent to like, I don't know, what's your major chain out here as far as
HEB.
Yeah, so that's like equivalent to working like HEB. Yeah. I was the parcel pickup guy, then I graduated to work in the register and that type of thing. Yeah, but that was my first job, and that job kept me out of a lot of trouble. So anything that was going on in the neighborhood that I grew up in, I was just like, I always missed the action. Always missed the trouble because I always had a job. Like, I always knew about working hard, like,
And what were you doing with your money?
Man, probably giving it to my mother.
Yeah.
Yeah, just little things here and there. I mean, back then, I didn't value the job because of the fact that it was making me money. It was just the pride of like being able to just be able to say I had a job. Like, it was like, that was the most amazing thing for me. Like, as a, 14, 15, 16-year-old, 17-year-old to be like, I got a job. Or I gotta like, well, now I can't do that because I gotta go to work. You know what I mean? So it was just kind of like school, work. I was an athlete. I was red-shirted in college due to SATs, but I was a distance runner. I was pretty good, at running, long distance marathons,
And this was at Copping. I know you went to High Point.
Yeah, I went to Copping for a few semesters.
Copping,
I went to Copping for like 3 semesters.
Did you run track at Copping?
Nah, I was redshirted, so I never touched the track out there. You know? And I ended up only going for 3 semesters. I dropped out. I decided I was going to do music full time, and here we are.
Yeah. So at what point do you find music? Like, I understand, your dad was a musician, but at what point did you get the buzz? Like, I know you grew up on music.
My first,
you started saying I can make a living.
My first day of college, I ran into some cats that were like, I always had the buzz though. I always knew I could do it, like secretly. Yeah. I had it backwards in high school. I thought that like if I was the singing guy in high school, whatever that, I'd get bullied and they laugh me out and they look at me like a sucker. You know what I mean? If I knew what I know now, Willie, I'd have been.
For real. I wish I could sing. I'd walk up on every chick I met.
I'd have been walking up.
They would have been like,
I've been walking up on them.
They've been calling me, man. That guy just sings and sings. And I just be walking up. Hey, baby. I don't know. I figure out something. I'm saying something to her every single time. Women love singers.
Yeah. And
they love a dude that can sing.
Yeah. So I was very, I wasn't secure yet with in that whole thing. And then I was very like, my dad tried to have me learn a lot of different instruments and stuff like that, but I'd just be like so hell bent on not wanting to do it. I didn't know that this would be what I would be doing. This is what I would, that I would love it that much, And I grew into it. First year, my first year at Coppin, though, is where I like fell in like head over heels for like creating music and. This is at like the height of like Jodeci and the success of like Babyface as a songwriter and Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. Like I always read the credits to everything. You know what I mean? And I told her this a couple of weeks ago. I had the opportunity to we share a mutual friend, and I had the opportunity to talk to her on FaceTime. But Faith Evans is like.
Oh, shots
Is
out to Faith. That's
Faith
my
is
girl.
like the Faith Evans and Chucky Thompson were like my, you know, and I went on later to meet Chucky and work
You
with
talking about
Chucky.
DC Chucky?
Yeah, Chucky. Yeah, he
that
passed
just
during
passed.
COVID. Yeah.
Shouts out to Chuck.
You know, that was the Bible for me, like of the musicality. You know what I mean? From like watching Chucky, you know, as one of the original hitmen through that whole Bad Boy era of music and the catalog. You know, the first Faith album, reading the credits, knowing like, okay, Faith is singing. Faith, she wrote this Mary J. Blige record, or she's singing on the backgrounds of this, or you know, going back and like, man, her voice sounds familiar. I wonder if this is her on some of this I'll Be Sure stuff too. And you know what I mean? Like I was just always like, you know, I was mad scientist with it, with like reading the credits and like, you know, understanding who these people are, you know. Of course, and then of course like Prince, Roger Nelson, you know, like Prince, you know, Marvin Gaye, you know, but then like I'm like, well, who's L Ware, who's Leon Ware, you know, to like graduating musically to actually meeting him one day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like and spending the day with Leon Ware, you know, smoking a joint with Leon Ware, you know, who passed, you know. Leon doesn't get that credit he always deserves. He was the sound. He was the writer and the producer of the Marvin Gaye "I Want You" album. You know what I mean? Like that, which shaped, and then that opened something up in Marvin creatively that he carried with him for the rest of his career. You know?
Yeah, you got the Marvin Gaye comparisons.
Oh yeah, a lot.
You get that.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily, your voice don't necessarily sound like him.
Yeah.
But it's the rhythm.
Yeah.
It's that rhythm and what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Right.
It's Leon, man. It's Marvin and Leon, but it's Leon though. Like if you study, like if you know Leon, then you like, you know, you love Minnie Riperton, you love Marvin Gaye. Yeah. Like the Leon at a very important time in their careers and his, you know, in the space of creativity, he was so I don't know if you know the story of the "I Want You" album in particular, where, you know, Barry Gordy had these two artists. He had Leon Ware and he had Marvin Gaye. And at the time, Marvin was doing, was a genius in his own right. But, you know, Marvin wanted to be the Black Frank Sinatra. You know what I'm saying? And then on top of that, Marvin had a level of consciousness at that time that was like, you know, people were, you know, they feared that.
He was bumping heads with his label.
Yeah, he was bumping heads with his label about it. You know what I mean? The whole nine. And Stevie too. You know, if it wasn't for Stevie Wonder, I wouldn't have put out the Love and War Masterpiece album, the whole double album. Like it was based on a conversation with him, is why I put that out, right? But he had Marvin and he had Leon, and he heard Leon Project. The whole "I Want You" album was Leon's album. And what he did was he had to sit down and he said he had the light bulb moment. He said that Marvin had the look and had the voice, and that Leon had the sound. He convinced Leon Ware to, like, you need to have Marvin. You need to get his album to Marvin, let him cut it over, like do the whole album.
Who convinced Leon?
Barry Gordy, apparently.
Wow.
Convinced not just Leon, both of them.
Yeah.
Because you got your A-lister artists, you know what I mean? And then, so
Barry is basically telling Marvin, look, man, if you redo this album,
just trust me on this.
Just trust, yeah.
Like, I need you to.
This is going to take you to a level.
Yeah, like you singing these songs over these arrangements, you know, with this cadence and this timing, it's going to hit like this.
Man, I'm going to listen to that album as soon
you got
as
it, yeah. You know what I mean? And if you listen to, and again, this is nothing to discredit Marvin, because Marvin is Marvin Gaye, right? But I'm saying that you have moments that people, that's why it's so important. Collaborations have always been important, and sometimes it's about who's in the room. You know what I mean? And like giving somebody that shot. You know what I mean? And like the sound, you know? probably his biggest, probably Leon Ware's the case in point. Even in the 90s, like his biggest record, probably our generation that people would know is, there's a song that says, "If it's cool, we can do a little something, something." Yeah, that when I
thought that was a remake.
Nah, it's Maxwell.
Yeah.
But when you go to read the credits, you see Leon Ware. You know, "Do you want to ride? Come inside my love." Minnie Rippleton, Leon Ware. So you know, me being a student of this, and I'm sure for you, just like, you know, in hip hop, there was somebody that was, you know, and it may be somebody that was, you know, like well known or established or whatever, or it may be somebody that was like they were behind the scenes and just like with the canvas making it, you know, creating it, and it inspired you to be the MC that you want, you know, that you wanted to be, you know. So yeah, just like, you know, beautiful things come from, you know, collaborating and being a student of this, and, you know, so those are definitely like a few of the influences for me, you know.
Yeah. So I know that all the collaborations that you do a lot of collabing, all of the collaborations that you've done have had an impact on your career, but which one do you think has had the greatest?
Oh no, man. I think I would say probably the Love and War Masterpiece album is a very you know, there's some very special tunes on there, you know. Yeah, I say that album in particular, like, you know, the Bulletproof record.
The one you did with West?
Yeah, with the record that has Dr. Cornel West on it. You know, but that record with Luda, you know, shout out to Luda, shout out to Shaka, who were real cool, you know, at the time. I originally did Bulletproof. I wanted Common on it. And they declined to do it at the time for whatever reason. So I just moved to Atlanta. And you know, Shaka in particular, Shaka Zulu, you know, Luda's manager, business partner, and Luda, they just embraced, you know, Shaka just embraced me, man. It was just love from the time I touched down, you know, in Atlanta. And you know, so it happened organically, you know. But yeah, I think that, you know, that record at that time, you know, just coming off of, you know, having a #1 record with Woman, having a top 10 urban record with Customer, you know, one of the biggest names in, you know, not one of the biggest name in R&B, you know, jumping on my record, you know, where we ain't had to ask or pay for it. You know what I mean? It was just like the timing of a lot of different things. It's like, you know, at that time, it was like, yo, the king of R&B checking for me. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't have to go to Chicago and sit there for 3 days, you know, and wait. You know what I mean? Like, and it just popped out. So it was just a timing of all these different things. But then I come with this record that's like so black and socially conscious, and, you know, I read an article where one person said that, like, that they tried to dispute and say, like, I killed my career when I did that at that moment. You know, or being, but for me, I feel like, you know, it was about the substance of what I was saying on the record, and it was needed. You know, that it speaks to then, it speaks to before my time, during my time, and the times we living in right now. You know, and for that reason, it's necessary. You know, and that's what the artist's supposed to do.
Yeah, Shaka Zulu.
Yeah,
Shaka seemed like he got his hands in everything.
mm-hmm.
I never seen him anywhere, and I be in a lot of different places.
Yeah.
How did you even run into Shaka?
Man,
Or did you run into him? Or
I can't.
did you,
I can't
did you
even
meet
remember
him?
how
Was
we.
it an
I can't
official
even.
meeting?
I can't even remember how we met, man. But I just know that it just aligned, and then like once we met, it was just like kindred spirits. It felt like family. Always very helpful, and just being somewhere, especially being picking up and moving to another state, on a whim like that, and then being embraced by some real cats, you know what I mean? Like, it matters, you don't forget things like that, the Southern hospitality of it, you know what I mean? Yeah, that's my man right there, yeah.
How do you avoid being pigeonholed in R&B?
I mean,
because R&B, like people, like when you do R&B, people like to just put you right there in that box, and if you try to get up out of that box and you try to do anything different.
yeah, I've never been pigeonholed. Like, if you listen to my first album, it's a lot of influences of a lot of different things. There's socially consciousness there. There's rock influences of rock there. There's influences of jazz, R&B, soul music, spoken word. Like, I've always been a gumbo of different things. I've never cared about what anybody else is doing. I've always been in my own lane. I know that. There was times where I might like dim my light purposely. You know what I mean? I'm done with that. You know what I mean? Like, I think one of the worst things you can do, I think a lot of times, we do a lot of damage telling people to be humble.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I get the idea. I understand what you're trying to say. It's like, hey, if you're trying to tell me to, hey, have respect for people and to treat another human being the way that I want to be treated, or don't frown upon them because I'm this public figure, or I'm this beam of light, I get that, you know what I mean? Then say that. But to tell me to, like, turn down my energy or my frequency or my light for the next person to shine brighter, like,
yeah, I get that, because that was a mistake that I made in my career, early on. I was always like a low-key type of dude. You might can't tell when I was, knocking out people, but
yeah.
But I was pretty much low-key. I just I kind of like fall back, and I'm a team player, so
Yeah.
I wouldn't tell people everything that I was doing.
Yeah.
And I realized that it actually cost me some career equity, because if people don't know what you're doing,
Mm-hmm.
if they don't really know what you're doing, if nobody else is tooting your horn, patting you on the back, and you're not doing it at all,
Yeah.
then they don't know that it's happening. And you can miss out on some opportunities.
Yeah.
So people go through that every day. The common man and woman goes through that every day when they're working at a regular company or whatever. Let's say a person works at, I don't know, AT&T or something, and they're are responsible for a particular project getting off the ground and becoming successful.
Mm-hmm.
And then instead of them speaking up and letting it be known that they're the one that did it, they're the primary person or principal behind it,
Mm-hmm.
they sit back and watch somebody else take all of the credit.
Mm-hmm.
And then after the thing blows over, everything works out or whatever, at some point, maybe you decide that you don't want to do this anymore or whatever, but nobody's reaching out to grab you and say, hey, come over here. We'd
Mm-hmm.
like you to do what you did for them over there.
Mm-hmm.
We'd like you to do it over here, but they don't know that.
Mm-hmm.
So, you can't take advantage of a stock raise.
Yeah.
So I say I'm with you on that, man. Like, yeah, humility is good.
Yeah.
But when somebody tell you to humble yourself or whatever, nah, Now, let people know.
Yeah.
They got to know, what you did.
And and the best way to do that is like, you show them in the music, you leave it on the stage. and you create the moments. You know, we in the era of the age of perception is reality and social media and just all these things and the algorithm. So, yeah, like, you know, I'm definitely outside on the algorithm heavy, like moving forward and just, you know, aligning myself with the right, you know, team members to just continuously create the ascension of things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, but it's cool with, you know, it's cool to be able to, it's okay with telling yourself, hey, you're great at what you do, or you're one of the greatest, and to stand on that, and the you know, and to embellish on it, and to nurture it, and water it, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and but it's also cool to tell other artists too, you know, that's coming up or whatever, and that's something that I, you know, pride myself in, and, you know, working with newer artists and up and coming artists, and just like, you know, because being out here as you know, I'm independent too. You know what I mean? Been independent for some time, so, you know, it's an entirely different ecosystem, you know, in that space.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's nobody to answer to. There's nobody to take the no from. You know, it's, you know, you create your own magic. You create your own destiny. You know.
Yeah. Well, you have created a hell of a legacy. You have created a hell of a destiny. You've done that, bro, with that tenacious work ethic and just being just having that natural talent and being authentic.
Mm-hmm.
And that's hard to find. Like you're an authentic artist. I've watched your evolution.
Yeah.
And I've always been amazed at how consistent you are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very, very consistent. Man, I appreciate you for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, and we definitely need to do a part 2 because there are some other things that I like to cover.
Absolutely. We gotta. Yeah. I come back, man. You know.
Yeah.
Would love to.
Absolutely. The Love King, Raheem, DeVaughn. No more talk.